You want to get out of the heat? How about Parks Casino? The number one casino in Pennsylvania. They've got it all, including an impressive collection of restaurants. They include the Parks Grill Steakhouse, the Liberty Bell Gastropub and Open Air Beer Garden, the Bamboo Noodle House, and don't forget Chicky and Pete's. All right there at Parks Casino, plus state-of-the-art sportsbook, the 360 bar with live bands and comedy and headline entertainment at the Excite Center. Visit Parks with an X, casino.com for all the details. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. TC, you never forget your first. Wait a minute. You're being premature. That was a line I was giving you. Hold it.
That's not first?
I said you never forget your first, and you're supposed to say, what are you talking about?
No, I assumed that was my cue.
No. Just ruminate on that line.
Yes.
You never forget your first.
That is true. Anything else?
Okay.
I'm a vault.
All right.
A lady doesn't and tell.
Well, my first was Seals and Crofts. My first concert was,
the cue was right.
I think 1976 or 7, 8th grade. That I remember for sure. 8th grade. And I was so proud of the first concert t-shirt that I ever purchased. True
to form.
It was orange.
Nothing has changed.
It was orange. And in that era of like 70s swap meet t-shirts, it had a Seals and Crofts picture on the front.
Oh no.
And I think it was not silk screened. It was like ironed onto the shirt.
Oh, nice.
All I know is it made my belly sweat when I would wear my face, and I was so proud.
Because it didn't breathe at all, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was like saran wrap on your belly.
Right. And look at me now. So I have this distinct recollection because I hung with a crowd that were always going to concerts. I've never gone to a concert. And now here I was finally able to show up in my orange Seals and Crofts t-shirt.
Look at you.
I went with my brother, 4 years older than me, and my cousin Bill, then in dental school at Temple University. He lived in this ramshackle apartment on Columbia Avenue. They don't even call it Columbia Avenue anymore. I think it's now Cecil B. Moore Avenue. But Bill was at Temple as a dental student. Now, in the latter years of his dental practice. But my cousin Bill took the two of us, my brother and me, to see Seals and Crofts at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. And it was my first ever concert experience. I bring it up because Jim Seals of Seals and Crofts has passed at age 80. The duo known for Summer Breeze, Diamond Girl, We May Never Pass This Way Again. If you looked at today's, we call it thumbnail, which is the advertisement for the Smerconish.com headlines, it says, he will never pass this way again. I hope that's not.
It's an homage.
It is an homage.
Say it's an homage.
Yeah, and Randy, who does a fabulous job in creating our thumbnails and our headlines, on his first draft, he
bungled the lyrics.
Yeah, he bungled the lyrics.
Let's just say that that's usually what I'm doing. So I'm Team Randy.
To which we responded, obviously not and Crofts fan.
LOL, true.
So Jim Seals and Daryl George Crofts, Texans, in the obituary, and what did I go with today at Smerconish.com? I went with Billboard. I didn't see any quotes from Dash Crofts, but the two of them just had this great vibe between them. And when I read the obituary, I saw that Jim Seals is survived by his wife, Ruby, and their 3 children. And
is it time?
And hold on, TC. You never forget your first, TC. But it reminded me of one of my favorite, and I think underappreciated Seals and Crofts songs, Ruby Jean, Jim singing about his wife, and Billy Lee, Dash, singing about his wife. And I just, give me 15 seconds of this. You're going to hear the instrumental, and then the words that you will hear initially will be Jim speaking about his now surviving wife, Ruby. voice.
Last night I dreamed I was running somewhere beyond the stars.
Stars. Now it's sad to hear.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Chokes me up.
Wow.
Yeah. I also remember that they were followers of the Baha'i faith, Seals and Crofts. And at the end of the concert, they said, if you want to stick around and learn more about the Baha'i faith, we encourage you to do so. So we stuck around.
Sure you did.
And like a small group of people gathered in front of the stage and they talked about the Baha'i faith.
Cafeteria Baha'i.
If you okay. We're done. I mean, come on. Russia has invaded Ukraine. Chesa Boudin was defeated last night. There are other things going on in the world. I get it. I just wanted to pay tribute to Seals and Crofts because they deserve it. Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle are going to go out on the road. I may as well do all the entertainment news from Smerconish.com at the same time. Rock and Chappelle together sharing in common, not only that they are hilarious, not only that they are comedians, not only that they are African-American, but also that they've both been attacked on stage. So can you imagine the comedy that they will draw from that? Why were so few of you interested in Chesa Boudin and whether the recall vote of the San Francisco DA was a referendum on all progressive prosecutors? We had 6,624 votes cast. The vote was 60-40. 59.99% said yes. This is a referendum on all progressive prosecutors. There is and Boudin did lose. 61.3% of San Francisco voters opted to oust the district attorney by voting yes on Proposition H. I mean, it's really stunning. It is really stunning. He was too progressive, even for San Francisco. It's interesting because there was a report that came out yesterday from the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund, a 17-page report that compiled a decade of spending by George Soros to elect progressive prosecutors. They say that he has spent $40 million to elect 75 social justice prosecutors. This I thought was really interesting. Soros has been incredibly successful with his efforts insofar as cities that are represented by this new breed of progressive prosecutor represent 1 in 5 people or 72 million people. 72 million Americans have as their lead prosecutor one of the Soros. And I'm not here as part of some Fox cabal. Like, oh, Soros, he's the puppeteer. No, I'm just saying, here's the data. He's isolated on these races. He's made good investments because he's gotten a big return on his money. And about 1 in 5 Americans are now represented by a progressive prosecutor, which would not have been the case in the not too distant past. In LA, Karen Bass and Rick Caruso, the congresswoman, the developer, the mega mall developer, are now going to square off against one another. They've got the jungle primary in California. Bass had 39%, 38% of the vote. Caruso had 41%. Nobody got 50%. Consequently, the top two are going to advance to a runoff in another 5 months. That's interesting. That's California. How about this from the New York Times today? I've got to get to the bottom of this. I read the story, but I want to know more. New Jersey centrists seek to legalize their dream, the Moderate Party, a new political party in New Jersey hoping to disrupt the pattern of current politics by embracing the very technique that Justice Rehnquist once scorned, fusion voting, with ambitions of taking the idea nationally. And while the party's founders acknowledge the chances of success may be low, supporters say they've identified a formula that offers greater promise than most sweeping but ultimately unworkable ideas. In other words, it's an idea to link together a core group of Republicans, Democrats, and independents, all of whom are alarmed by the polarization in the country. One of the quotes that's offered in here is a guy named Richard Wolff, who is a former small-town mayor, who says he's repulsed by the Republican Party's embrace of conspiracy theories and fealty toward President Trump. You know the expression, money talks and bullshit walks? Do you know where that originates? It originated back in the ab scam days, if anyone remembers, with a then Philadelphia Democratic congressman. He was only, I think, 36 or 37 at the time. Michael Ozzie Myers. I went back and I pulled one of the old clips, and then I'll tell you why I'm mentioning him today. He was caught on tape in this undercover effort. Frankly, I happen to think there was entrapment. Okay. On the tape, the 37-year-old Myers claimed in a calm voice he was meeting with Arab sheiks, or individuals he thought were Arab sheiks. That would be politically incorrect for the FBI today. He was explaining how he was the head of the Philadelphia delegation. He talked at length about his political clout, encouraged the sheik to invest in his district and give him the perfect opportunity to raise hell in Congress. He said, I'm going to tell you something. Real simple and short. Money talks in this business and bullshit walks. And it works the same way down in Washington. Why is he back in the news? He's back in the news because he's just pled guilty to a myriad of election fraud charges. He's now 79 years old. U.S. attorneys say that he bribed election judges in South Philadelphia wards from 2014 to 2018 to pump up fake votes for his candidates. Old habits die hard. 37 years old, now 79 years old.
Talk about not learning your lesson.
Oh my God.
I couldn't even believe it when I read that headline. I could not even believe it. Yeah.
Here's a reason why President Trump might announce sooner than later that he's going to run in 2024. Ron DeSantis continues to show strength among Republicans. Florida Governor DeSantis building momentum in the West, a region that is home to a series of upcoming GOP primaries that will test Donald Trump's hold on Republicans. Over the last weekend, he topped Trump in the annual Western Conservative Summit's straw poll, with 71% of participants wanting the Florida governor to run for president in 2024, compared with 67% who want Trump. So it wasn't a head-to-head. It was, hey, do you want DeSantis to run? 71% say yes. Do you want Trump to run? 67% say they want Trump. Tomorrow night, the first of these January 6 committee hearings. Apparently, network television is going to carry it all. I mentioned yesterday on the program, Fox News is going to dip in and out, but they're not going to carry gavel to gavel. On Thursday night, says Variety, most major broadcast networks and cable news outlets are slated to shake up their evening programming grid to show what is expected to be a shocking report from the U.S. Select Committee. Meanwhile, the Washington Post reporting today that shortly before the pro-Trump rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, Secret Service agents scrambled to try to secure a motorcade route so then President Trump could accompany his supporters as they marched on Congress to demand that he stay in power. According to two people briefed on witness accounts of the congressional investigators, a senior law enforcement official told the Washington Post that the president's detail later scuttled the idea as untenable and unsafe. What's the point? The point is, for a while, it looked like he was going to go to the Capitol with supporters, some of whom then stormed the Capitol. Today's survey question at Smerconish.com. Do you fault Phil Mickelson for joining the Saudi Live Golf Tour for a reported $200 million? We've had all this conversation on the program about whether President Biden, in the face of escalating gas prices, ought to go sit down with MBS, notwithstanding that MBS is believed by U.S. intel to be responsible for the execution of Jamal Khashoggi. And it looked like Biden was going, that he's not going, that he is going. Looks like he will go next month. So amidst the controversy about whether the president should sit down with the Saudis, here is Phil Mickelson clearly taking the money and running. We struggled, TC, with how to word this question. We weren't sure how to.
Yeah, first we started with whether it should be, we talked about the PGA, whether we should say, okay, well, if you play with the Saudi Live, then does that mean you're out of the PGA? About that. But in the end, because Phil Mickelson, I mean, Dustin, but really Phil Mickelson is the big name. We, the host and the polling department, decided to go with that.
Do you fault? Here's the way we worded. Do you fault Phil Mickelson for joining the Saudi Live Golf Tour for a reported $200 million? I mean, what is trying to get, can you blame them? Yeah, you can blame them. No, you can't blame $200 million.
Ooh, it's so much money. It is so much money. But then there's, murdering, moral outrage, human rights violations. So what's the balance?
You know that I do a great deal of paid public speaking.
Yes.
Talk about it openly here on the air. Private groups bring me in to speak to their corporate gatherings.
Of course.
I was thinking, I've
if they tried to bring you over there?
No. But what if they did? What if the Saudis said to me,
you couldn't say yes.
What if there were a Saudi event and they said like they're going to offer me some mind-boggling, like Phil Mickelson money, but mind-boggling for what I do.
Right.
What I do. And they said, hey,
you're selling your soul to the devil. You can't do that.
We're going to fly you to Riyadh.
No.
And we're going to pay you $100,000.
No.
First class flight, Michael. And we're going to put you up at the wait for this.
Wow.
We're going to put you up at the Four Seasons where we locked up all the princes. Do you remember that?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So $100,000, first class airfare, Four Seasons accommodations, everything's on our tab. $100,000, wired into your Swiss account.
Would you do that if bin Laden invited you?
Of course not.
There you go.
Okay, then what's your answer about Phil?
That he shouldn't do it.
Okay, at least you're consistent.
Correct.
There you go.
But he has a lot of, he might have bills to pay.
Talked about, he's got big bills apparently to pay. Michael Bamberger told us.
Exactly.
And as Alan Shipnick wrote in the book, which is a great book club podcast release of mine. I'm so pleased with the titles of the people that I've been able to release as my book club podcast.
Oh, it's incredible.
Ann's interview yesterday is definitely going to be released.
We've discussed it and we will continue to discuss that one.
Why are you laughing? I don't understand.
Oh, the reaction to the Kellyanne Conway.
Please,
as I
give
said,
me a break. Oh, I'm not supposed to read her book and question her on the subject matter of the book.
It wasn't
The story broke too late yesterday for inclusion in the Smerconish.com daily newsletter from Axios, Sarah Fisher, CNN evaluating partisan talent. But of course, it's listed in today's newsletter. Fascinating. CNN new boss Chris Licht evaluating whether personalities and programming that grew polarizing during the Trump era can adapt to the network's new priority to be less partisan. If talent, says Axios, I know nothing, by the way. I know nothing. I don't even get the memos. If talent cannot adjust to a less partisan tone and strategy, they could be ousted. 3 sources familiar with the matter tell Axios. So that's really interesting. And then I encourage people to read about the ongoing drama at the Washington Post. Dave Weigel, I guess, has been suspended for a month without pay. His joke, his buy joke.
Yeah, so he retweeted a tweet from someone else that said something about like you have to figure out two kinds of women,
bisexual or bipolar.
Right. That all women are bi. You just have to figure out whether it's polar or sexual.
Something like, and for that, for a month.
Right.
For a month.
Right.
So there. Anyway, bottom line is there's great stuff today at Smerconish.com. Did you know that there was a Philly guy? Do you watch Jeopardy on a regular basis?
I don't watch Jeopardy.
Ride-share driver.
I knew he existed because it's been in the headlines.
16 straight wins.
I know.
16 straight wins on Jeopardy. I'm a horrible Jeopardy player. There's a place where I like to go to eat pizza, to pick. It's a bar. It's a bar and restaurant.
Now I want a pizza.
Very old school. And Jeopardy, I guess, is on in the 7:00 hour. Again, you don't even know.
I don't know.
But it is always on there.
When you go pick up the pizza.
And people kind of play it at the bar.
That's hysterical.
So my Jeopardy understanding is only when I'm picking up a pizza at a local bar. And
you're not doing well?
I don't do well. It is not my strong suit. My strong suit is Seals and Crofts.
Oh, good. Perfect.
My strong suit is to know the the lyrics of Billie Jean and Ruby Jean and Billy Lee. Oh boy. Ladies and gentlemen, we may never pass this way again. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. See you tomorrow.